This Fender Deluxe Reverb has been my main gigging guitar amp for playing jazz live for many years now. Until a few months ago, I purchased a Quilter Toneblock 202 with a Blockdock 12 cab, in the hope that I'd have the following two things. One, great tone. Two, a rig that I'm able to get in and out of a gig of in one go. So I'm going to compare these amps today for you, and let's chuck three guitars at it. This Fender Telecaster, Rosewood Telecaster with Creamery Charlie Christian in the neck. This Gibson 335 63 reissue, and finally a archtop Gibson Super V, my main gigging guitar. Each of those guitars are going to get a chorus each, half a chorus on the Deluxe, then half a chorus on the Quilter. The Quilter is set as follows. This is the EQ, and I've set it to the vintage tone settings, that's what I prefer. And the Deluxe Reverb is using channel 1, just it's a better tone for jazz in my opinion than channel 2. And I'm also using some reverb that is courtesy of the wonderful El Pescador pedal from Nocturne Brain. And just to be upfront, this is not a sponsored video. These are amps that I've paid for with my own money. Without further ado, here's the playing, and after that I'll share my thoughts on which is my favourite. If you like that backing track, it's of Black Orpheus, the standard of the month on my Patreon page, and it's available on the lowest tier. Now, I've owned that Fender 65 Deluxe Reverb reissue since 2014, and when I first got it, I was happy enough with the tone to proclaim this. I've always been very happy with the tone in terms of jazz guitar tone. I've always used channel 1. I know some people do cut the bright cap and use channel 2, but I tend to use channel 1 and get reverb either through my El Pescadero or through the Strymon Flint. I've played hundreds of gigs on this thing, and over the years there's just been two issues for me. The first, no surprise to you, is the weight. It weighs 42 pounds, that's 19 kilograms, and whilst that's not super heavy, you know, if it's a stage where you can't park close to, you might end up being a little bit like this by the time you get to the stage. I personally like to be able to get in and out of a gig in one go, so I've got my guitar on my back, amp in the other hand, and not feel like it's a workout. Second issue, and I think sadly this is an issue with a lot of Fender modern mass-produced valve amps, and that is just noises, whether that's rattles, rumblings, rustlings. Over the years I've had all sorts of strange noises occur from that amp. I've always managed to get them sorted by an amp tech. Sometimes it's just a faulty tube, or I don't know, a capacitor or something they need to change, but those things happen from time to time, and it's particularly annoying when recording or on a stage playing a ballad, and then you get a slightly funny sound from the amp, and other guys on stage are like, oh, what's that noise? And yeah, it's me. But for whatever reason, I'm kind of attached to this thing. You know, I think there's some sentimentality with this. Say, for instance, my first ever amp, electric guitar amp, was a Fender Champion 25 watt, again with that silver grill cloth. And I remember, you know, when I was first getting into guitars, looking through my dad's copy of the Let It Be book that came out in 1970 with all those silver-faced twins in it and the bass amp and so forth. I think that left an impression on me. The Quilter Toneblock 202 is described by Quilter as the ultimate gigging amp. Now, it's a solid state head that you can pair with a speaker of your choice. Now, I've opted for the convenient combination of the Quilter with their own speaker, the Blockdock 12, which pairs together, and you can just slot the head into the back of the speaker, making it into like a combo. The Quilter head weighs 1.5 kilograms and the cab weighs just 8.8 kilograms. Now, I've tested this. I can even run upstairs with this thing, so I can easily get in and out of a gig with my guitar on the back and the Quilter in my hand and it not be strenuous. Now, I've owned this Quilter for 3 months, and rather than jumping straight on it and making what I'd call a honeymoon review, I've held off, gigged it for, say, 3 months or so, just so I can really observe it, listen to it in different situations to really come to a decision as to whether this is the amp for me. For me, the Quilter does everything I need, and it is in a much more convenient package, lightweight, and it's a flexible thing as well. If I want, I could just take the head. If I was playing a festival, just take the head. I've got the option of pairing it with different size cabs as well, and it's got all the power I need. I had a couple gigs early on with it where I had some doubts about it, and I've since put that down to the room, a lifeless room, a dead room where it's the sound's just getting eaten up and it's feeling squashed and compressed. I'm really impressed with how well it responds dynamically with picking. A lot of people find or criticize solid state amps for being maybe sterile, and I definitely don't find that with the Quilter. I find it really responsive to my playing, very dynamic. The 3-band EQ is very handy. You know, on the Deluxe it's just, bass and treble, whereas on the Quilter we've got the mid option as well. Reverb is good, although I personally prefer to either use my Strymon Flint or El Pescadero for that. And it works well with pedals. My Hampstead Clean Boost or the preamp side of the El Pescadero, really fantastic. And if I want to get a bit of grit from it and drive it a little bit more, just sort of that Charlie Christian tone, I can quite easily. Just listening back to what I recorded, the only one I wasn't sure about with the Quilter was the Tele. I thought the 335 and the Super 5 sounded great through it, really happy with those. The Tele, I don't know, maybe that pickup sounded lush through the Deluxe, but didn't quite work so well through the Quilter. That would be my only criticism of the tones from what I played today. So is there a clear winner? Well, for me, the Quilter just nudges it. I'm happy with the tone of both, but for the weight, the portability, the power that amp has, the 3-band EQ, the way it handles pedals, you know, those things do outweigh the issues that come with the Deluxe. Like I said, the weight and the occasional reliability issues. So for me, the Quilter just nudges it, but I'd be happy to take either to a gig. Probably happier to take the Quilter given how, you know, easy it is to transport. Having something that is reliable is the first and foremost thing you want from an amp on a stage. And I just love the flexibility that Quilter offers. You know, one day maybe I'll explore using other extension cabs with it, something smaller, something bigger, who knows, but the flexibility there, that's fantastic, something you don't get from, you know, that traditional valve amp. Now, if you'd like to find out more about Quilters, you got questions and so forth, then I recommend the Facebook group, Quilter Owners. Lots of people posting, you know, questions on there or demos and playing clips. And, you know, there's a lot of choice with Quilters in terms of different options, which brings me just to say, if you're in the UK, one downside certainly is they have gone up in price quite significantly. I bought this, I don't know, September or so. I think they're about 20–25% more expensive than they were, which is a shame. Hope you enjoyed the demo. Please subscribe for jazz guitar lessons, gear demos, things like this every Wednesday. Until next time, you take care.